What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to continue our lake breakdowns. This time we're going to go out to Lake Buchanan. This one is super cool. We're able to draw the water down way far, be able to find all kinds of offshore rock piles and things like that. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. Stick around, got some good stuff for you. Well, before we jump into Lake Buchanan, let's do what we always do, and that's go out to the Texas Park and Wildlife homepage or their fishing page and just kind of get some general information about the lake. If you've never gone out to these pages before, the Texas Park and Wildlife does an excellent job. Basically, just everything they do is excellent. They do great. Obviously, our fishing is phenomenal here in Texas, but they also do a great job of giving us the information that we need for the lakes, putting in fish attractors, all that good stuff. So coming out here to the fishing page, just some things to note about the lake. It's located on the Colorado River in Burnett County and Llano counties, west of the town of Burnett. Looks like the surface area for this lake is 22,211. So this is a pretty large lake. Maximum depth, which would obviously be down by the dam. The northern part looks a lot shallower. Maximum depth of 132 feet. So this is a very deep lake as well. And it was impounded in 1937. So it's old, a lot older than a lot of our lakes too. So if you look at the lake levels, it says the fluctuation is considerable. I think that's an understatement. You'll see when we switch over to Google Earth, this one's going to be really similar to the one that we just did the other day. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the name of it was. Hubbard Creek. When we were out on Hubbard Creek, we pretty much were able to pull the water down to almost nothing and be able to find all kinds of cool offshore stuff, rock piles, ledges, all kinds of good stuff, and actually be able to see them and not have to use Navionics, the contour maps, to find it. So what we're going to do on this one is very similar. We can draw the water down way more than what's usual. So we're going to be able to see some really cool stuff on here. So to say that it's considerable, I don't know. You'll see that definitely there's some major fluctuation there. The clarity, though, it says it's very clear at the dam, that it gradually becomes a little more turbid as you move upstream. And we'll see that in the Google Earth images as well. You can see that pretty clearly. As far as predominant fish species, largemouth bass, white bass, striped bass, and catfish. You go into lake records. The lake record for a largemouth bass is 11.50. What I think is funny here is look what he caught him on. He caught him on a Senko. I don't know. I just thought that was funny how they spelt it. It's Senko, not Senko. But anyways, thought that was funny. But I'm surprised there wasn't a larger bass here, especially being that this lake has been around since 1937. So interesting that it's not that large. But what's cool here is you've also got Guadalupe bass, and that is fun fishing. You can catch a lot of fish when you're out there fishing when there's a Guadalupe bass population. So they're just those two, the largemouth and the Guadalupes being together, it's probably going to make for pretty good fishing on this lake for sure. All right, so then moving down, just talks a little bit more about angling opportunities. When we look here for the species, largemouth bass is good. Catfish is excellent on this lake. So is white and striped bass. Crappie and sunfish are both rated as fair. And then you can scroll down and see just a little more tips and tricks and things like that, but nothing too crazy. So let's go ahead and switch over, and we're just going to switch over to Google Earth, and we're going to see what we can find over there. Here we are, and let's jump into Hubbard Creek. Let's look over here on the left-hand side. This is the Google Earth side. If you've never watched one of my lake breakdown videos before, I always sort them out really just by basically whatever I can find on the lake and then try to kind of put it all into certain categories. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see we've got the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. So these are all the different fish attractors on the lake. If I zoom back, you can see all those. We've also got different channels and ditches. That's going to be all these green lines. We're going to talk about those. Those are going to be really good spots. Creek channels and ditches are always great spots to find the fish. And the cool thing about this is when you zoom into it, and I'll show it to you later when we break the lake down, this actually puts you right on the creek channels. There's no more guessing of where the creek channel is or where the best spots on that creek channel would be to fish. You can tell, let's say just by looking at this one, the primary spot or a really good spot on that creek channel is going to be right there where that big bend is. Also anywhere where it touches. But anyways, we'll get into that here in a little bit. We've also got lots of rock. So this lake was very interesting. You've got a lot of rock on the right-hand side. The left-hand side has quite a bit of rock too, but not nearly as much as the east side. You've also got a lot of different cover as well. So if I take off all of this and we just look at the cover, we've got some different rock. I probably shouldn't have put that rock in there. It was cover that was actually out there that I just marked. So I'll fix that. But pipes, laydowns, brush, ledges, just all kinds of good stuff to check. We're going to have a fun time on this lake. Also, boat ramps. If you've never heard me talk about the boat ramp pattern, that can be a great pattern to get on. There's quite a few ramps on this lake, so you can definitely take advantage of that as well. So let's go ahead and select all of these. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this date up here. I'm going to change the date and I'm going to draw this back. Now watch how cool this is. You can see these little islands. I like this area right in here when I do this. So I'm going to move it back to 2014. And now all of a sudden I can see 80% of the lake that I couldn't see before. So lots of good stuff to go over. Let's go ahead and start down here by the dam, which we always do. We start by the dam, we work our way east, and then I come all the way back down and we circle back at the end. We'll see how many videos this one takes. I'm not sure. It's a pretty big lake, so we'll just have to see how many it's going to take us here. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this over. We're going to zoom this in for you guys, and let's go ahead and get started. So here is your dam. So right up above the dam, the first spot that I really liked is right in here. Now you're going to notice this side of the lake has a lot more rock. So you're probably going to be, well, one, it's going to be a lot clearer down here, but this side of the lake is going to be a little bit clearer just because you have all of that rock and stuff like that. So you've got some really good rock here, real good, cranking area, wobblehead, stuff like that. You've got some really good rock piles out here as well. So don't just fish right up on the dam. Get your boat and get out a little bit ways. And this is going to be your primary spot to fish, not up here. You've also have a Texas Park and Wildlife little fish attractor there as well you can take a look at. So I'm going to draw this back again. You can see what we're talking about. Notice how I'm pretty far off the bank. Now, as we get further down here, I don't know if you can fish in here or not. It looks like it might be off limits. I don't see any buoys, though, at least not obvious buoys. But there's another rock pile right there. I really like how that one comes out and makes a little point. That one looks like it could have some, could hold some fish really well. Now, even up in here, even if you look at the bank line, you've got some pretty good little rock ledges there as well. I just don't know how far that water is going to come up to there, how deep that would be right in that area. But you might want to check that out as well. All right, so as I'm moving on up, let's keep moving. We get past this area right here. And then we get over in here, and this is like a spillway of some sort. If you can get up in here, this is going to be pretty shallow. If you can get up in here, though, you have some just random rock piles and things like that. You've got one right here, just a real random rock pile. Not going to be very deep water at all, but this is a really good flat. So you could get up here, and that could be a real good spot for them to be attracted to on that flat since there's nothing else up there. You've also got another little rock pile that's over here as well. Now, again, I don't know if you can get up in here or not, if they'll allow you to get up in here or not. But if you can, you definitely want to go check that out. All right, so I'm going to move this back to 2014, and we are going to keep going up. Now, as we move further up here, this is really cool. You kind of have this nice seawall that's right here, but you've got a really good rock pile right in this area, right where I put rock right there. That's a rock pile, and of course, you also have a huge one that's over here to the side. My guess is that rock is actually always going to be available. This rock pile over here is actually submerged, so you may have some opportunities to find some fish right around here as well. All right, so let's move this back to 2014, and let's keep moving up. There's a ramp that's over here as well, just a boat ramp, so you might want to check that out. When I got back up in here, I didn't see too much, real shallow. I didn't see a lot of cover or any rock piles, so we're going to keep moving on until I get to the next stuff. Next one would be over here off this point. Again, real long, shallow, flat point. But right off the tip of it, if I zoom in here, you'll see that we've got a really good little ridge right here, and it's got some rock on it as well. So you definitely want to come up here and check that out. Right off the edge of the point, has a nice little rock pile there. And then when you get out here and you actually get out a little bit deeper, you get a little bit further over here and you've got this hard spot that's right here. So you definitely want to check that out. That would be great for wobbleheads and stuff like that, jigs, football head jigs, all that good stuff. Carolina rigs, pretty much anything you want to throw out here. Also, when you get down over here, you've got these random rock piles as well. So you might want to come up here and just scan around these and see. This one looks pretty juicy because there's not a lot of rock around the area. So they're going to attract to these little spots, and you can kind of follow it. Just kind of goes along that whole ridge all the way back to there. So that whole line right there, if you can see my mouse, that's all got a hard spot all around it. So you definitely want to check that out. But the spots that I put in here, these are actually pretty good piles. I mean, that's a good pile. That's a good pile. If I zoom the lake back up, you would never have any idea that that stuff was out there. But those are going to be really good fishing spots, especially this time of year. It's June now, almost June. So it's definitely the time of year to start thinking offshore. As we get a little bit further over here and we get off the edge of this corner of this point, got a pretty decent little ledge here, as well as some pretty good rocks. So a real good hard spot right there as well. I really like that. It's cool that we can pull this lake this far down and be able to see all of this stuff. You've got a little bit of a hard spot right there off of that point. I guess you could take a look at. You've also got some debris down here. If you look, I don't know if these are stumps. They look like stumps, but you could fish around these stumps as well and probably have some success if you went out there. But they're just kind of scattered throughout. I probably should have marked them for you now that I'm starting to see them because they're all off the tips of these points. So if you're out here fishing, definitely, if you see these hard spots, look around and see if you see any stumps nearby. Or even if you see the points come out, get off the edge of these points. Wherever these points come out, get off the edges of them and look for that submerged timber. What I'll do is I'll go back and I'll mark that timber before I get done with all of these videos. So that way, if you buy the card, you'll have the timber marked too. But we've got some timber here, some timber there with the rock, and then you got some more rock in here. And then if you look right here, you've got this like almost like a little plateau right here, and then it drops a little bit. Right there where that rock is, you've got a little bit of a drop, but more importantly, you've got the rock that's right there. As we move further up in here, we've also got a ramp up here. Some more rock around that ramp too. Didn't see too much going on in this area. Got up here, just zooming around. It's crazy how there's just nothing out there, but then you just have these random rock piles. One rock pile right there. You got another one that's up here. If we zoom into here, you'll start to see it. Real good hard spot. These are all great places to go look for fish for sure, especially when you're up here in these big, huge flat areas and there's nothing for them to relate to. They're going to relate to that rock, and that's going to be really good places for you guys to be able to find those fish. As you get out here off the point, nothing too much going on there, but if you zoomed in right in here, you'll see that there's some rocks in here as well. Pretty decent little rock pile going on right in this area. I'm going to keep moving on up. Didn't see too much going back in here with the docks and stuff. Obviously with the water being pulled all the way down, I can see if there's anything there. There's a brush pile there, but it's not going to be worth fishing because it's going to be so dang shallow. It's probably sticking up out of the water. Yeah, it's not even in the water. So anyways, you just want to keep a close eye on this. Know that when we're looking at this, from this perspective, this is not going to look anything like what it's going to look like when you get out there on the water. It's going to look like this, which is going to throw you off. So just remember that when we're going over this lake breakdown, that keep that in mind. All right, so as we move on up here, we've got a pretty decent little creek channel here. This is what I was talking about with you with the tracks. The tracks actually make the tracks to follow the creek channel exactly. You can see here, it's just following the creek channel. There's not much of a creek channel there, but you definitely have some creek channel. And most importantly, you just know that if you're out here fishing, you want to fish around creek channels. So if you find a creek channel here, you're going to have a population of fish somewhere in this area. So as we move a little bit further out here, I'll start up here and we'll work our way back. We've got some rock that's out here. This looks really interesting right off the tip of that point. Pretty decent little rock pile right in here as well. Then we move back to where that creek channel is. Right when that creek channel comes out, there's a really big like boulder or something going on right here. This would be a perfect place to find some fish. Look at the shade if I move this over. Look at the shade from behind that rock. So they're going to set up on that rock. That's just a great rock for them to set up on, and the creek channel is coming right beside it as well. You've also got some more rock in here. If I zoom out a little bit, show you guys where I'm at here. Right up here off 690, we come out here. There's some rocks in this area. We've got some additional rock piles right in here, right over in here. Got some more just kind of riprap. I guess it's riprap. No, it's not even riprap. It's just chunky rock all around these docks. Looks like I missed a ramp there. Look at the rock around these docks. These docks can be really good. So you definitely want to go fish those docks. There's another ramp there. Then you've got the hard spots all around that area. Over here looks like some sort of marina or something. There is some hard spots back here. I mark these just because these areas, especially right in here, you got some shade. So that there's a little bit of a drop there. These are some bigger type boulders. So I marked those, but you've got a hard spot all in this area. You've got a ramp out here as well. Just a lot of that same hard, big, chunky rock. I went ahead and marked it for you here. I like this one because it's right off the edge of the point. So that looked good. And you know what? I missed this one. There's another one out here. I got a feeling we're going to find quite a few as we go through these. There's some more rock there. You definitely would want to go check that out. And then let's look off the tip of this. We've got a really good boulder or rock or something going on right out here. So I could see them being related to that as well. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. Now let's keep moving up. Now, as we get up here, we get off this point. Obviously, the point's got a lot of hard rock and stuff like that. Just a real good hard spot on the point itself. But if you get out here, it gets out and it makes a really tight point. And so right off the edge of that point where it says rock, I think that's going to be a really good area for you guys to look at too. You've also got another hard spot that's out here off the edge of this point. If I zoom in, you'll see it. Something's going on right in here. And the cool thing is you got a lot of cover around here too. So that hard spot, I think, is going to be a really good spot just based on if you look at it. It's main lake, it's a point, it comes out. It's the only hard spot in that whole area. So I could see that being really good. As we move up here, we find some more stuff. There's a Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor here. I zoomed in to see if I could see it, but I still can't see it. But they say that it's there, so I trust them if they say that it's there. But the cool thing here is look where they put it at. They put it right beside this big old rock pile that's out here. So got a little hump or something going on out there with a nice rock pile. The fish attractor, the rocks, all of it's good stuff. You definitely want to go check that out. Moving on up here, again, looks like I may have missed a spot right here. That looks like a pile of rocks there too as well. So clearly you want to fish rocks when you're fishing this lake because you have a lot of opportunities here for sure. Moving on up, we're going to go around this point, and then when we get around this point, show you where I'm at here on the lake real quick. We've moved our way up quite a bit. So when we get around this point, first thing I want you to look at is the rock that's right here. There's a nice little rock pile off this point, and then just across from it, you've got a nice rock pile, good point that comes out here as well. This is going to be really good because you've got that creek channel again coming through here. You've got a little creek channel coming out, and it swings right there, right where that rock pile is. So that is going to be your prime spot here in this area for sure. You got some more ramps over here. Looks like you got about 4 ramps. This stuff's really shallow though. Look at all the ramps in this area. I think you've got about 10 different ramps. We won't talk about all of those, but let's talk about these different rock formations and stuff that's out here. Right here, this looks good. This looks like a little pinch point or something, but you've got rock on both sides and almost like a little ditch that comes through it. Looks like there's a pipe there as well. That could be a good spot. As you move further up here, you've got some heavier rock going on out here. These little isolated rock piles I was telling you about. Lots of those ramps. And then out here, get a little bit further out. Notice how this rock pile has a little bit of a ledge to it. So I could have almost put like rock and ledge, but that one looks pretty juicy as well. Definitely something you want to go look at. Got some more ramps up here, and then we get over here, we got the rock. Let me zoom out real quick, show you guys where I'm at now so you can see here where I'm at. We're about halfway up the right side, so that's not too bad, maybe a little bit further. So as we get over here, we got some more rock piles out here. You can see just throughout the dirt, and there's just dirt everywhere, and then all of a sudden you get that hard spots. You want to look at those hard spots because they're going to attract the fish just based on how they're set up. I really love how they're set up on this lake. As we get up over here, we got some more rocks, just lots of different rock formations, tons of different rock formations, really. We got more rock over here. I like this one because it actually has 2 little points, and it looks like it has a pretty steep little drop going on here. Notice how it's basically bare land, and then all of a sudden it just drops off. And if you look, it almost looks like you got a little bit of shade going on. So that would tell me that there's some sort of a ledge or something going on in that area. So that's those 2 rock areas right there look good. You got an old ramp here. Not sure there's much to it, but you could go up here and fish. It is lined with rocks, which is cool. You got rocks in here as well, and then you got a really good rock pile right here. Now that rock pile, let's take that out to 2019 and see if that one is actually above the water. It's not, but that would definitely be a lower unit killer. So if you don't fish it, at least avoid it, especially if you were to use that ramp. You've also got a rock pile right over here that looks pretty good. Pretty good shade going on in that area too. Over here, you got a ramp, and then right off the end of their ramp is another good rock pile. And you got about 4 of them. You got one here, here, and here. So you've almost got this little ledge going on right in this area. And the ledge is lined with the rock before you get up in here to the more dirt. Got more ramps here. You got a Texas Park and Wildlife Fishing tractor going on right here on this first little cove that we're going into. We've got some more rock coming off these points. So if you're fishing this lake, it would be tough. You would probably think if you were new to fishing, you would think that this is going to be a pretty hard lake to fish because you're going to be up here fishing and there's nothing up here really for you to fish around. It's super shallow, not a lot of cover, not a lot of good stuff. So if you're fishing this lake, my suggestion would be, and if I were to go out here and fish this lake, I would pull way off and I would fish the outer edges of these points because I think that's where you're going to find the bigger fish and the better populations of fish. I could be wrong, but that's just what I'm thinking based on what I'm seeing here on the map. Now we also have some rock here off this little point. Pretty good little shells, little drops and stuff like that. You can drag a jig down these and sometimes be really productive. So you definitely want to check those out. Watch out for the timber out here too. And then here you've got a really nice bluff wall. Now these bluff walls, these are areas you want to go, especially in the summertime and the wintertime. These are going to be great areas because notice how deep it is. And it's also almost providing a little pinch point right in here, but definitely big bluff walls there. Definitely good area to fish. All the shade that you get from those bluff walls too, you just can't beat it. You've got kind of the same thing here. It's not as good as the bluff wall, but you got a pretty good little point going on here. Got a little creek channel going on back in this area. Again, the creek channels on this lake weren't really that great. So I don't know if I would focus too much on the creek channels other than looking at the mouths of them and then also just paying attention to where the creek channels are. So knowing that, if you were limited on time, I would probably limit myself to fishing in the areas where the creek channels are coming out or, fishing main lake. So let's keep moving up here. We got a point that's up here as well. You can check a look at that point. That one looks pretty good. Nice hard point. And then out here, you've got some isolated timber that might be worthy of fishing just because it's off of that point. We get over in here, we've got some boat ramps, some rock piles, some additional rock going on down this bank line. And then it kind of turns to dirt and you get nothing, but you do have a decent little creek channel back here. Now, if you're looking at this creek channel, a couple key places you definitely want to look at. One's going to be right here, this little dock right here, because the creek channel's swinging right up against it. This one, the creek channel's pretty much going underneath it. This one here, maybe this one, but definitely this one. Those are going to be key areas to look at. Why am I saying that? Because that creek channel is swinging over or underneath that dock or over against the land. So you got the creek channel swing there, real good bend on this side. So you got some pretty good stuff going on that creek channel. Only problem is it's probably super, super shallow. Didn't want you to check that. I can't tell if that's debris or rock or what it is. You got some ramps that are back here too. Another ramp. And then you just got that little creek channel that runs back. Let's look at that in 2019. You'll see why it looks so much different. Now these docks look really healthy, right? In this area where all these stumps were and everything, and the rocks by that dock with that creek channel being really close to it, that could be a really good area to take a look at too. Not just fishing the dock, but also fishing that stuff. All right, so let's move on up here and let's talk about this point. We got about a couple more minutes and I'll probably cut us off. Let's see if we can get at least to the outside out here, and then we'll cut off the video. But we've got some more rock that's going on right here off this point. And then as we move a little bit further back, we've got a ramp that's going on here with a real good hard point right off the edge of it. I really like that. And notice you've almost got that bluff wall again going on right here. You got something pretty steep because you can even see the shade from it. So this bank line here is going to be a good bank line to fish. You got some debris that's back in here, some rock, some hard stuff. Here's the debris. Almost looks like an old boat trailer almost. Can't tell what it is. Got laydowns down here, rock out here off this little ledge. You got a decent little creek channel that comes through here. You really want to focus here where that rock is. And then this right in here, this looks really good right in here as well. And you can see the creek channel goes pretty far back there. But again, the creek channels on this lake aren't as well defined, but this one's decent. So you definitely want to look at this dock here, this bluff wall right here, and this little hole right here. That's going to be a deep spot right there, just outside of that ramp. That's going to be a good spot to look at. And then, of course, when you get over here, you're going to want to take a real good look at these little bluff walls that are right in here as well, because you got another creek channel that runs back through there too. All right, so keep moving over here. Got another creek channel coming up through here, going right underneath those docks again. So just look at those anytime you see that. This area here, right here from that dock to about this dock, all right in here looks really good. Look at the ledge that you see there that rock has created. That creek channel's dug it out pretty good. That could be a really good spot just right in that area. You've also got some rock there, some laydowns, timber, so be careful when you're going back there. And then when we swing out here, getting out more towards the main lake, a couple different things to look at. It looks like there might be a little bit of scattered rock right here off this little hump that comes out. And then up here, you got another one of those hard spots that's right here. Notice there's a lot of dirt, a lot of nothing. So those little hard spots are going to be really good areas to go take a look at. You've also got a ramp up here and some rock. And I think we're going to finish right there. Let's finish at that number 5 Texas Park and Wildlife Fish Attractor. So that took us through at least part of the east side of the lake. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. This is a really, really cool lake. It's cool that we're able to pull that image down, pull the water down so much, and be able to see all these cool things that are out there. So if you haven't had a chance yet, go out, check out my site, simplisticfishing.com. We provide all of these waypoints for your graphs, Humminbird, Garmin, Lowrance, whatever else you have out there. Pretty much can support them all as long as they support a GPX file, USR file, or the Humminbird stuff. But anyways, go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. We've got this lake plus about 70 other lakes out there that you can choose from in Texas, and we continue to add more and more each day. Until next time, hope you catch your PB. Y'all come back next time, and we will talk about the rest of this lake and see what else we can find. Take it easy.